This episode is brought to you by Fox One. Watch all 104 matches of the FIFA World Cup live in 4K for just $19.99 a month with 3 days free. Build your own multi-view, choose up to 3 streams, and follow player spotlights. Stay on top of every moment with live stats, highlights, and instant replays. The FIFA World Cup, streaming live on Fox One. Offers are subject to change. See fox.com for complete terms and conditions.
This episode is brought to you by Redfin. You're listening to a podcast, which means you're probably multitasking. Maybe even scrolling home listings on Redfin, saving homes without expecting to get them. But Redfin isn't just built for endless browsing. It's built to help you find and own a home. With agents who close twice as many deals, when you find the one, you've got a real shot at getting it. Get started at redfin.com. Own the dream.
Well, hello again. This is Annie Rose Malamet, and you're listening or watching, because I'm trying to do video podcasts now, because that's all the rage. Girls, guts, and giallo. And today I am joined by my friend Ian Deleón, and we are talking about the cult classic film directed by Brian Yuzna, Society, from 1989. Hi, Ian.
Hi, how's it going?
Good. I'm excited to talk about this. I feel we
Oh,
have
yeah.
been trying to get together to record for a long time, but
hmm
the way that it always goes with me is like it happens when it's meant to happen. And I think that we were meant to record this episode now at this particular cultural moment. So
I
I think it
feel
worked
that
out the way it
too.
was supposed to.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is great. Good timing.
So, Ian, can you tell the listeners who you are and what you do and what you're all about?
Yeah, my name is Ian Deleón. I am an East Coast, South Florida native. Came out here to LA about 5.5 years ago, and I'm pursuing writing in various formats, directing, and cinematography. So, kind of all over the entertainment industry, behind the scenes side of things. I also really love to program films, and I think that was actually what brought us together in person was a screening that I organized that Annie was a part of for the Q&A, which was fantastic. So yeah, anything and everything having to do with storytelling, I'm a big fan of, and I try to be a part of out here in California. And I love to scuba dive. That's a new hobby, a new passion.
Oh, that's cool.
Mhm.
Well, I always think of you when I think of we met at our mutual friend Lucé's wedding and for the first time, and you had like an eyeball brooch on,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
that's how I think of you.
I love that. Yeah, that was a prop I got from probably Midsummer Scream or something like that, and I hadn't had an occasion to use it in a film, and I was like, "I need to spice up my, like, jacket somehow," and my friend Jen, attached that to me, so I'm glad you remember that. That's awesome.
Yeah, you're very appropriate for society. Um,
It's true.
so I I love this movie. I've loved it since I saw it. And I don't think I saw it until I don't know, maybe like 8 years ago. What was your first experience with this film?
I guess it was around a similar time. I'm like, I can look it up on, Letterboxd. I've watched this movie 3 times. Okay, 2019 was my first viewing, and I watch it every couple of years, apparently. Um, I think I was fresh out of, living in New York at the time, and there are certain scenes, in this movie that remind me a lot of, my time in Brooklyn. I'll say that.
Yeah, and for me now,
Mm.
like being a New Yorker and living in LA, and this movie takes place in Beverly Hills, um, it's so funny to sort of like Beverly Hills was always like a conceptual thing for me, and now I'm like, oh, I get it, like the wealth that's there. I
Yeah.
can It's palpable when you're in that neighborhood. So I
Yes.
can understand more now. Um, so I feel like let's just get into it. I have a couple of quotes from Brian Yuzna from a 2001 interview that he did for this book called Alternative Europe. I mean, he's not a European director, but
Right.
Alternative Europe, Eurotrash and Exploitation Cinema.
Mhm.
And I'm not quite sure why the author interviewed this American director, but I think because he actually eventually started making films in Spain.
Mhm.
And I think a lot of the interview, the bulk of that is about like the difference between making films in the US versus Europe. Um, but something he says is that, which, I'm always preaching, is horror is the bad boy of movies. After you get past pornography, it's just one step up. And what it means is that you can deal with anything. Something that non-horror fans don't realize is that horror films have a very rigid moral structure, more so than normal movies. If you just adhere to the structure, you can do anything you want, and this is a kind of freedom you don't get with other movies. So horror does often deal with things that normal movies would have a hard time touching. There's a fundamental freedom in the horror movie. That's kind of interesting that he proposes that there's this very rigid moral structure, but that gives it the freedom. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, people do think of horror movies as moralistic, like they sort of get, analyzed, especially like the slasher.
Right.
Y you
It's
know, they
always talked
horror
about in
movies are sort
terms
of
of, like,
held.
people getting what they
Yeah,
deserve.
yeah. Right, because they're I mean, if you think of something even like Tales from the Crypt, which is
Mhm.
super moralistic, like there's always a
True,
moral
yeah.
lesson. Yeah, there is this like kind of movement now in horror, I feel like, to even sort of amplify that, but in like this kind of like annoying, like liberal way. I feel like sometimes like listen, like I'm a leftist. I don't want I'm like I'm like I don't want to sound like a crazy alt-right
Especially with
person,
this
but
movie, like, you need to give that caveat.
yeah, totally, totally. But there's this kind of I talked about this on an episode I did for my Patreon about why I hate the term elevated horror. And there's
Mhm.
just like a sort of try hard, like pigeonholing of messaging now. I feel like in a lot of horror movies, it's like very trendy post Get Out. Um,
Yeah.
but this movie
Right.
is also like pretty moralistic, but I don't find it obnoxious. But when it came out, critics in the US did find it obnoxious. They loved it in Europe. But in the LA Times, they were like, it's obnoxiously pretentious.
They didn't know how important it would become, post 2024, you know?
Yeah, it's
It's,
also so funny to think of a movie like this as pretentious. Like,
yeah,
it's trash.
I think totally.
Um, and then he also talks about horror and psychoanalysis and how they both deal with madness. Um, and that's what the audience thrives on. He talks about his films as immoral. He doesn't think of them as immoral, but he does think of them as sexual. I'm interested in the ways in which different classes respond to that sexuality. And certainly, I think there is a comparison between society and the dentist in the fact, this which is another movie he made, the fact that Billy Warlock's character in Society is in the same place as Corbin Burnson's character in The Dentist. They are both just destroyed by the immorality of the sexuality that's around them. I think with Billy Warlock, it's an indictment of the upper class. With The Dentist, it's more of an indictment of the excess of the upper middle class consumption. It's a bit like that movie The Stepfather from 1987, the idea that the guy would rather kill his dirty family than accept them as dirty. Um, yeah, I mean, this is certainly a very sexual movie, and but it's like not, yeah, I don't know, we'll get into it. It's very, the excess sexuality of the upper class, like, will
I
destroy and consume.
I have a lot of questions in regards to that quote about, like, the morality and sexuality of the classes, that society tries to talk about. I don't know, it got me thinking a lot about, well, this relates to my time in Brooklyn, like queerness and a very fluid, um, maybe even like polyamorous sexuality, and how in a lot of ways you could read it as this movie using the quote unquote upper class to sort of send that message, that kind of open sexuality is something to be really feared, and it's portrayed in like the worst ways possible. I don't know, it gets really complicated, and um, I might need to come back to my words a lot while we're talking about this. But in light of like all these things going on with Epstein now, all these conversations about power, um, and sexuality and really inappropriate behavior, it's like I don't know where's that line, between fluidity and sexuality, for the different classes? Like, is sexual experimentation and fluidity something that we accept as a society only at the very top, uh, even though we're constantly like critiquing them for it and talking about it? Is it still something that we associate mostly positively, with the upper class versus working class folks like who may be in very different sort of romantic situations these days? I don't know. It's just it gets me thinking a lot about how that's depicted in the film. And yeah, I mean, feel free to jump in. I mean, what are your thoughts?
No, I just love that you're bringing that up because that is like a core issue at the film that I want to talk about because there
Mhm,
is such a regressive sort of sex negative thing going on right now in leftist
mhm,
spaces that I feel is a reaction to the sexual, perversity of the upper classes. Um, and you could sort of, I mean, people kind of come to symbolize whatever serves whoever's talking about them, right? Like, so you could
mhm.
say polyamory and like polymorphous perversity is the realm of the upper class because they have the privilege and the time to do that. But you could also make the opposite argument that like a lot of middle and working class people are coming to polyamory out of almost like a financial necessity.
Mhm.
Um it, because like having just one person to rely on now is not like psychologically or financially feasible for a lot of
Yeah.
people. Like, so you see that a lot of people in like more middle or working class positions um, are coming to polyamory or open relationships because the model of monogamy is not working for them on multiple levels. So you could, I mean, people who are like perverse and polyamorous sort of like it's like any other sexual minority where they come to stand in, they come to represent something for people
Mhm.
instead of just like being taken as individual people. And that is, I think, a lot of what happens on the left. I see a lot of leftists like making fun of polyamory, which,
Right.
as a polyamorous person, like totally get it. We're insufferable. So I understand that, but I also like am critical of it. And I think that, people, when they think of like orgies and polyamory and like all the kind of stuff that's depicted in society, they think of like the Marquis de Sade, and like Jeffrey Epstein and like how this is the realm of the upper class because they're just so like
Right.
um privileged and debauched that nothing else can get them off anymore. Whereas when I
Yeah.
think of polyamory and sexual perversity, I think of it as the realm of like the proletariat of the people, of freedom and of rejecting social norms. So you could really
Yeah.
sort of go either way with that, depending on your
I
agenda.
Starting a business can seem like a daunting task, unless you have a partner like Shopify. They have the tools you need to start and grow your business. From designing a website to marketing to selling and beyond, Shopify can help with everything you need. There's a reason millions of companies like Mattel, Heinz, and Allbirds continue to trust and use them. With Shopify on your side, turn your big business idea into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.
This is going to be an extremely busy month. I have to watch 104 soccer games, follow the pregame, the postgame, yell useless opinions at the TV. It's a lot. So I knew that when it comes to screening for colon cancer, the choice was clear. The Cologuard Plus test. It can be used at home and can only take 15 minutes, so I can do it during halftime and not miss any action. If you are 45 or older and at average risk, ask your healthcare provider about screening for colon cancer with the Cologuard test. You can also request a prescription at Cologuard.com.
I think, yeah, when I first watched this movie in 2019, me and my partner, whoever I was talking about with this movie, we were super excited about like the end scene because
Totally.
it felt, even though, you know, someone's getting like killed or sublimated or whatever happens to that poor guy,
Fisted to death.
we're like, and because of, even though the movie implies a lot of like really shady things, in the end, the final sequence is all pretty much with adults, as far as I could tell. And there was a lot of consent there, at least amongst the shunters. So
Everybody's enjoying what they're doing for sure.
Right. So we were able to look at it and be like, oh my God, like that looks super fun. Like, wouldn't it be great if we could just like penetrate each other's like forearms, not just the holes that we have and whatever. So it was interesting and liberating to like see the movie in that context. But now looking at it, I guess I have a totally different read on it in that I almost feel like the filmmakers are pointing a finger and laughing at folks like ourselves, perhaps, and it's like a critique of anyone who would go to those lengths to explore one another and open themselves up completely. Because ultimately, I think, minus one or two things about that group that I don't appreciate, if they weren't the ultra rich, I like everything else they're doing.
No, it looks like a great time. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like a wonderful time. I love how they're very open to different adult age ranges, body types. Like they're just kind of in it for
Everybody's
the fun
bisexual. Yeah.
Totally. That part about it is really cool. Once you start looking into what went into the making of this movie, and we'll talk about that, but what roles these people play in society and how they relate to the working class, like that's where it becomes like, oh, bummer. It's a bummer that this movie wasn't for us. Like it was meant to maybe, shame us a little bit for wanting that too.
Yeah.
So that's
Well, there's a real sort of conservative sexual bent to a lot of like communist leftist spaces, right? And I'm always quoting Emma Goldman, where she was like, "If
yeah.
there's no dancing, it's not my revolution. Like,
Right.
if I'm not coming, like, what the fuck is the point?" So I like that. That's important to me. Like, my pleasure is an important part of my, revolutionary praxis or whatever. So but then there's a lot of Marxist, Leninist people, which I'm sure you've encountered in these spaces, like being in them as we are, who find that the realm of like excess. And I, obviously don't agree with that, but it does kind of, there is that like bend to this film. Like that is the realm of like the people who are imposing their will on others, not people like us who are exploring the limits of our own bodies and, egos. So it's that I feel like even within leftist spaces, like perverts are still super maligned. So,
Totally.
I
I
think that's
identify as a pervert. It's tough.
yeah, of course. That's why you're on this show. Yeah. It's as leftist perverts, we need to hold the line that like, no, that's, that is itself conservative and regressive to, to propose that the realm of sexual freedom is only for the upper class. It's so funny too, because like there's like all like I lived in the Bay for 5 years, and there's all of these horrible like tech people that have these like orgiastic sex parties, right? And at the same time, I've been to a lot of queer sex parties where everybody is like working class or middle class and is like a, hardcore like punk leftist or whatever. And like everybody's having a crazy time too. Like that is not just the domain of these people.
Right.
Like, and
Right.
I refuse to cede to them. Like
Yeah,
that's,
exactly.
yeah, I think they're doing it in a different way than we are.
And the unfortunate thing now is how tied into conversations about like abuse and like pedophilia and all this stuff. Like it didn't need to just be around that, but now I feel like it is so intertwined in like the mainstream
100%.
consciousness. I mean, like
Yes.
this is a little bit of a tangent, but just yesterday I was working on a photo project in class, and I had a layout with tarot cards and like a pentagram and like pretty low key symbolism stuff. And my teacher comes over and her comment is like, "Oh, Jeffrey Epstein coded?" And I'm like, "Wait, what?" Like this, instead of going to like pagan witchcraft, whatever, magic with a K, like her first thought is to this stuff that's in the news now. So anything outside of quote unquote the norm is now fodder for these conversations about undeniable abuses of power at the highest levels. And it's like, fuck, man. And then something like society is ultimately a little bit of a disappointment, because I can feel its conservatism oozing through the really interesting visuals of sexuality and pleasure and bodily integration, all that potentially fun stuff. They're really kind of coming at it from a conservative perspective.
I mean, if you think about it, like this movie is made during the Satanic Panic, and
Yeah.
we're in another one. Like we're in a resurrection of the Satanic Panic.
That's
And
true. Yeah.
it's so any like sort of deviant sexuality is being held under this lens. I mean, like I'm like afraid of people. I'm like afraid of other leftists right now, because as a like very out pervert, I feel like anything that I say or express belief in is just seen in the most ungenerous light. And it's it's always associated, sexuality itself is associated with the abuse of power, and like
Yeah.
I'm not interested in abusing power. I'm interested in playing with power. And that, I mean, it's just everything. I mean, so many queer people are policing each other in regards to like
Yeah.
like age gap relationships, or like anything that's considered like perverse. They're doing the work for conservatives with each
Yeah.
other. And that's, I mean, yeah, I felt the same way you did when I rewatched this. Is I was like, this is a lot less fun now. Like
Yeah.
I feel that this is quite moralistic, actually.
I mean,
Um
to let the cat out of the bag a little bit, right? So I mentioned that I watched this documentary this morning, called
yeah, please, yeah.
The Dark Side of Society.
The dark side of society, yeah.
And it's not a well-made documentary, but the writer it's focused on the writer, the main writer, who's we identified his name a minute ago
Woody
before we
Heath.
started. He changed his name, now goes by Zeph. But he alleges that he was unconsciously writing this script based on his experiences as a child. And
Okay.
only later did these memories unlock for him. And apparently he comes from this family of really well-connected California elites. There were definitely mentions of Bohemian Grove and the Freemasons in this documentary. It kind of threw everything at you. All the terms and conspiracy theories
Of
were,
course. Yeah.
and then, and then I went and I sought out what this guy's up to now, because this documentary is only from a few years ago. And he's got a podcast, and he's one of these like Trump apologizing, anti Alex Jones video conspiracy nuts. And it's just like, oh my gosh, like what? I
And
can't
that's who
believe
wrote
all of this
Society. Yeah, I mean,
that's a
like,
part of society,
yeah.
the movie, and the real society.
Yes. I mean, it's all there, right? I mean, all of this. I don't know about you, but I'm getting really scared of other leftists because I'm like, y'all believe this shit? Like the Epstein baby eating stuff, like just completely uncritically reposting this stuff on
Yeah.
social media.
Something about people makes them want to believe that.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like
There's
a
there's
real
a lot of
satanic panic. Right, like that would validate something. Like, I don't know. Yeah, that is happening
right.
somewhere.
Yeah, no,
I don't know. We want that.
it's full-blown satanic panic and I mean, let's just get into it because like this is all in the
Yeah.
film. Um
Okay.
so we open, we're at this beautiful White House in Beverly Hills, and teenage Bill, played by Billy Warlock, was an insane name, awakens in the night, sweating and hearing voices and squelching sounds. He has a righteous mullet, and he is, traversing this house. It's his home, but you can tell he doesn't feel at ease there. And
Mhm.
he reaches for a kitchen knife. And this is like kind of an interesting gender reversal because Billy is in this like very traditional female horror role,
Mhm.
where the woman is like, clutching the knife and like,
Yeah.
sneaking around scared. There's a lot of gender stuff going on in this movie.
Yeah.
And he suddenly the lights turn on and his mother catches him. And next he's at his therapist, Dr. Cleveland, and this is another thing too, is like the um distrust of therapy,
Yep.
which is like very
Yep.
conservative. Um and he's talking about how he feels frightened and out of place in his life. He's scared of his family, he's scared of his therapist, nothing feels right. I actually find this to be a very scary concept, in regards to like mental illness and feeling like an outsider. Um, and yeah, that just kind of terrifies me. That idea of like never feeling like anything is right.
I mean, according to that documentary, the writer says that scene related to the moment in his life where he realized that like his family was in on all of this. So it's really interesting. That's kind of like a primal scene moment
Mm.
for his life. And a couple things on Billy Warlock and his character. Like one, this gentleman does not know how to hold a knife. Like every time he holds a
No.
knife, he's cut and nicking himself. And that's one of the first things we noticed, my partner and I, when we watched this last night again. It's just like, why is he holding the knife like that? He's cutting his hand for no reason. He doesn't really know what he's doing. And he's bringing this real like Marty McFly energy to the performance, which at first, when I noted that down, I was like, this might be kind of a stretch. It turns out that he, a few years later, would end up working with Bob Gale, who's the writer of Back to the Future. So there's definitely a
Interesting.
Marty McFly synchronicity there. But he's Yeah, he brings a really interesting approach to this performance. Like you said, there's a lot of gender play there, and right away you get the sense that Billy looks like he could fit in with these folks, but he's really not comfortable with anyone in his life. He's not comfortable in that role that they have for him as the maybe quarterback, all-American, great brother, like future
It's not
politician
really
model type.
him.
It's not him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's so interesting. I mean, knowing now what we know about Zeph, um,
Mm.
also, like, please, everybody be skeptical of, like, repressed memory shit. Like, there's, like, really no
Yeah.
scientific basis for that. Like,
Yeah.
I'm getting scared. Everybody's, like, talking about satanic ritual abuse and repressed memories, and I'm like, okay, we've learned nothing. So, yeah, you always have to be skeptical of stuff like that. But that makes sense if this guy never felt, like, comfortable with his family. That would, that would come out in the film.
And I don't blame him.
So
That is a strange family dynamic, as I'm sure you're
yeah,
about to get into.
right. And he also says, "I feel like something's gonna happen. If I scratch the surface, there will be something terrible underneath." And to literalize that, he bites into an apple and it's full of worms.
Yeah.
Um, we cut to a montage. We get that creepy song, "Society Waits for You," with, like,
Mhm.
writhing, squelching bodies. And obviously, if you don't know the ending, if you haven't seen the film, you have no idea what you're seeing.
Right.
Um, Bill is playing basketball with his friend Milo, who calls Bill Mr. Perfect and says he'll probably end up assassinating the president. Um,
Great. Long.
right. I guess a nod to the surface perfection, but there's something else going
I mean,
on.
for me, that's an indication of like surface tension. Like eventually this boy's worldview is going to crack, and he's not going to know what to do with himself or where in society he fits in. So like a Travis Bickle, he's probably going to act out violently and confusingly,
Right.
you know. He might be one of those who
And
goes out
Milo
and
sees it.
Mhm. Yeah, that's a
Right.
really amazing observation, for anybody to have, but it's perfect for Billy.
Right. I mean, it's the only character who really, sees him at all in this
Yeah,
film.
yeah.
Um, Bill calls to his sister Jenny, that somebody named Blanchard is here to see her, and
Mhm.
she's like this perfect blonde wasp type. She's leaning out the window as he's calling to her like a princess, like in a tower, and she goes back to getting ready. Um, she's got this like great mint green silk robe on, these white lace panties, and she's like it slips on this very typical pink 80s dress. She's just like the perfect typical 80s debutante. But the music is tense like a slasher.
Mhm.
And there's rattling in her closet, like there's a killer watching her. And she sees a face in the clothing, and it's Blanchard. It's this guy. And he lunges towards her, begging her to listen to him. But Bill swoops in, good big brother, and rescues her. And this is our first introduction to David Blanchard. He says Jenny is messing with him, and we are to assume it's some kind of like masculinity jealousy thing going on.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
the
It's very
the
like
Whitney parents,
current boyfriend, ex-boyfriend coded scene,
right?
even
Yeah.
even though it's
Um,
ex-boyfriend brother.
it's her brother. I mean, yes. Well,
For
it's
now,
all
at least.
there, right? So,
Mhm.
the Whitney parents come home and they kick David out of the house. The parents like soothe Jenny, and this is like when we're like, there is something wrong with these people. Like they're
Yeah.
petting her, and it's like very odd and incestuous.
Mhm. It's just
Um,
too much. It's all too much.
it's too much. Yeah, it's this is the other thing too, is like the sexual excess in this film it's pushed to the extreme where it becomes incestuous. So it almost proposes that perversity like incest is the realm of the upper class. When we know everybody experiences
Right.
incestual abuse of any class.
Right.
Um,
On
so
the flip
that's,
side of that, it makes me think of like affection too, and what it says about affection as being maybe one of these other values that we would appreciate being attributed just to that upper class. And then when you see it, it's to be derided because it's happening in this weird context of like incest and whatever. But it's like you don't see genuine affection happening anywhere else in the film. So it's hard to position yourself with it and against it at the same time. You're like, I really appreciate how loving they are as a unit. I wish there were other examples of that in the film that I could relate to. Like, this is positive,
Your call has been forwarded to voicemail.
Hi, this is Zoe Deutsch.
And Nick Robinson. Our brand new movie, Voicemails for Isabel, is all about those little moments that feel like the universe is looking out.
Feeling homesick, then your sister calls.
Hearing that perfect song exactly when you need it. Sometimes life rigs things in our favor, like learning about your new favorite rom-com, Voicemails for Isabel. Now playing only on Netflix.
If you've ever blasted synth beats from your boombox or burned CDs for your besties, this one's for you. As people get older, much like their music tastes, their health needs change. AG1 is the simple daily health drink designed to deliver over 75 essential daily nutrients and pre- and probiotics to support energy, digestion, and mood, so you can make the most out of every decade and dance break. Learn more at drinkag1.com.
right. I mean, that's also like, I would be very interested to read something about familial affection and class.
Mm-hmm.
Because I
Yeah.
feel like, and that's also a cultural thing too. Like, growing up, like my WASP friends really would never like kiss or hug their parents or whatever, but my parents were very affectionate. So I feel like there is something else there. They're like, I thought we weren't going to see David Blanchard anymore. So they're very invested in who she's dating.
That we is
Um,
they hit the we hard.
yeah, they're basically a throuple.
Yeah.
And so Jenny is getting ready for her coming out party. And her parents the Whitney parents are very uninterested in whatever Bill is doing with his life. So he'll like he's like, I'm doing this. And they're like, okay, great. And Billy goes to zip up Jenny's dress and he notices her sweaty skin is pulsing in a very strange way. And this is very sexually charged and incestuous. I mean, it's almost like he is it's like the pulsing in her skin almost like mirrors the involuntary erection that he would have
Yeah.
doing this.
Yeah. Totally.
So at the Beverly Hills Academy, Bill is, I guess, running for president of the debate team or something, or class president,
Something like that.
against this guy named Martin Petrie. And they are debating dress code. And in the front row, a very sexy girl named Clarissa opens her legs and flashes Bill. And his blonde cheerleader girlfriend, Shauna, is pissed. And Milo, who's the debate moderator, whispers to Bill that Clarissa is bad news.
Yeah.
So
Can I just say
I
that
love Clarissa.
yeah, she's great. I wrote down that scene reminded me of Snape spellcasting during the Quidditch game.
Oh my God. I haven't seen the movie since they came out.
He's so absorbed with whatever is happening between her legs. It's so funny. He like can't even think or speak anymore.
He's like, the dress
amazing.
code. Yeah.
Also,
yeah, I mean, this movie
fantastic last
just
name
immediately oozing
for-
with sex.
Yeah. Love the last name for Marty. Petrie. Great. Like given what we'll experience at the end. Fantastic. I love that.
Right. Yes. No, lots of good foreshadowing throughout
Uh-huh.
the whole film.
Yeah, and there's
Um,
something
so
well, that's a little bit later on. I'll let you keep going. Yeah.
okay. So Bill goes to therapy and he's very
Yeah.
happy about his victories, and Dr. Cleveland asks how he feels about his family now.
Right.
And he says, I don't think about them, they don't think about me, except for a little incest and psychosis.
Wow.
Very telling.
Yeah, full stop.
Um, but the
And
other
you're
thing
like,
is
just
he's left
kidding.
out of the incest. He's
Yes, right. That's yeah, probably a huge part of it.
yeah, like it's happening around him, but he's not invited. Um,
Well, if
he's
Billy grew up with them for 18 years or whatever, then he's probably of a very similar mindset in terms of class. And so if he was shut out of something like that, he would probably be losing his mind. I understand that.
yeah, totally. I
He
mean, it
feels
also
entitled to it.
entitled to it, but also I would I would say maybe on the flip side of that, because there is a proposition in this film that the upper class is a different race,
Right.
right? So he could also be innately disgusted by it because he is not of this race, as we will
Mhm.
find out.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, I mean, there's like also like, even though there's no people of color in this movie, there's also like racial eugenicist stuff going on here too. Um,
Yeah.
where these people are literally a different race. If you haven't seen
It,
this movie, you probably don't understand what I'm saying, but you should watch it.
yeah. That's like like taking to the extreme what I think is a could be a pretty universal feeling of just this alienation you have with your parents. Like I remember as a teen, I wasn't the only one. I knew people like this a lot. There was a lot of flirting with ideation of being uh, adopted. It's almost
Right.
like because none of us could relate to our parents. It was like, well, we must not be of them, and we had a hard time proving to ourselves that we were, in fact, were. It was easier to prove the reasons why you probably were adopted because it's like, look, all of these things are different. So it's just
Right.
it's interesting to see Billy take that so far, but I identified with that, the spirit of that at least.
Yeah, he says that they don't approve of him or his friends, and they don't talk to him or look at him, and he thinks he was adopted. And Dr. Cleveland says this very odd thing, or you're going to make a wonderful contribution to society.
Mm,
Um,
yes,
so
yes.
Bill knocks on Jenny's door at home to borrow suntan lotion, and she's got this great 80s bedroom. And he notices Jenny showering through the frosted glass shower, but it looks to him like her body is twisted so that the front of her body is facing the back of her body, so it's like ass and tits. And he opens the door, and she's normal, and she's like covering herself, and she tells him to get out. And now he seems like a peeping little creep.
Yeah.
Um but there's the incest vibes there as well, like, because when he's first looking in the shower, there's really nothing, and then he keeps looking, and then he sees the deformity.
Well,
um
she probably appears like the ultimate male fantasy at that point for him. She's both sides at once.
Yeah, man. Yeah, no, no, I was thinking the same thing. I was like,
Yeah.
that's, I mean, it's like those, creepy, whatever, if that's your thing. I'm not trying to yuck your yum, people, but like those,
Like the flesh.
fleshlights that are like an
Yeah,
ass and tits and a mouth, like all,
exactly.
like it's such body horror.
Yeah.
Um,
But
so
that was fun. It was
go
fun to
ahead.
see that in light of like almost every 80s slasher movie has a scene like that where you see the hot girl through the shower. So it was great to see them kind of push that in the direction of like, well, you want a sex toy? Here she is as a sex toy. And then what
Right.
that ensues from that. Yeah.
Totally. It's totally fucking with that.
Yeah.
Um, so he sees his parents talking to the gardener with like a plate of slugs, and
Plugs.
uh, they're like studying the slugs, and everything just has like a weird vibe.
Hmm.
He he tries to connect with his parents, but they clearly don't listen to him. And so he's off to the beach in his Jeep, and he finds in his car this naked male doll with a screw in its head. Um and I noticed like his parents clearly bought him this nice car. Like he has all of the markers of privilege, but he just doesn't feel like he belongs in it.
Yeah.
Um at the beach, he is rubbing suntan lotion into Shauna's skin. She's blonde, she's perfect, she's wearing this pink bikini, and she tells him she loves him, and he cops a feel. And she's like, but if you love me, you'll get us invited to Ted Ferguson's party.
Hmm.
Um, a couple of kids are like army crawling in the back of the couple, and they steal their sunscreen and spray it all over them. And this is just a vehicle for Bill to chase them on his belly. And he runs into Clarissa, the seductive brunette in a green bikini. And she, in a very iconic move, squirts sunscreen on his face in a gesture that reads like she's jizzing on his face. And even though it's between a man and a woman, it's very like homoerotic. Bill is like very homoeroticized in this
Yeah.
film. It's like homoerotic, but it's also like femdommy. Like it's gender
Yeah.
fucked.
Hmm. Totally.
So she walks away and Bill is mesmerized by her, and he turns around and bumps into one of the strangest characters in the film. This large fat woman with this odd affect who we later find out is Clarissa's mother. Bill goes over to Ted to try to score an invite to his party, but him and his crew basically mock him, and he walks away defeated. This is when Blanchard approaches Bill and says that he has something he needs to hear and to come with him.
Okay.
And go ahead.
Before we go down that road, just the mom is so interesting.
Mhm.
I'm calling her like a new wave zombie. She has a very interesting hairstyle and makeup. Her look is kind of great, but what we find out later is she's got this disturbing hair eating mania. I want to come back to that because I'm not exactly sure where that comes from. I'm curious what you think.
Totally.
But for me, I think right, that scene leads to him interacting with the other rich kids, and one of the lines that I loved from that exchange is when the main one just says to Billy, "We don't lose. Like there's no need to rig the election. We don't lose." That, in light of 2026 politics, was just like a chilling admission.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. We are in control. We don't even have to do anything. Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, it's so prescient. And he's so Ted Ferguson is also just like typical fucked up 80s rich guy
Mm-hmm.
in a movie. Like, oh, this is like the archetypal 80s villain.
But it's interesting because in any other movie, he wouldn't be like the handsome antagonist, you know? It would be like a James Spader type, like a blonde version of Billy or something like that. But, Billy is very obviously the leading man here. And so it's interesting that despite how we think of it normally in terms of privilege and class, like looks in this movie and standard ideas of beauty in this movie, like aren't as important, which just as a blank statement feels a little like revolutionary and interesting. But it's, of course, it's like within the caveat of everything that the upper society is doing. But that's an aspect of them that I find interesting, that they're governed by different desires than we are, it seems like.
Mhm.
And that those standards of beauty aren't what excite them. It's something else.
Mm. Yeah, because there's a lot of like older bodies in the later scene.
All
Yeah, I
kinds of
mean
stuff.
yeah. Um, so back at the Whitney home, Jenny is meeting with her father and Judge Carter, who is an important figure in society. Um, and very kind of almost like disturbing, like daddy giving his girl to other men
Yeah.
vibe. Um, and Blanchard takes Bill to the pier and opens his suitcase, which has a tape recorder in it. And he explains to Bill that he bugged his family and that he needs to listen.
Wild.
He play crazy, and he plays the tape. And basically, it sounds like Bill's parents are talking about Jenny having an orgy at her coming out party. And there's a lot of very iconic lines. Like the father says, first we dine, then we copulate.
Yep.
And one of Jenny's friends says, it's so much fun to see how far you can stretch. And it just sounds like they're just having a perverse orgy. Like we don't know the extent of it, but um, it's bisexual. It's like, a free for all. Fucking her parents, like um
Speaking of the homoerotic vibes, I love how that scene is blocked, and it's like the two teen boys underneath a pier listening to these wild sex noises and confessions, and it's just like, oh, there's so much there. It's so
yeah, there's so
interesting.
much there. It's like the two boys looking at porn together,
Exactly.
and inching closer to each other. And
Yeah. Yeah.
so Judge and Dad discover this microphone on Jenny's earring, and they realize that David Blanchard has bugged them. So Bill keeps listening to this tape, and it sounds like Jenny is getting fucked by everyone. And then there are screams of pain and terror on the tape. They don't know what's happening. So Bill, in a, traumatized rage, attacks Blanchard and takes the tape. And he shows up at Dr. Cleveland's house and demands that he listen to the tape. And somehow the doctor convinces Billy to leave the tape with him, even though Billy doesn't trust him. Billy fights with his girlfriend, Shauna, about the party. This is at school, and the tape, and they break up. And Billy finds a shrunken head in his locker. Shrunken head doll. So these dolls, they keep coming up. So back at Dr. Cleveland's, Dr. Cleveland plays the tape for Billy, and it has completely changed with no evidence of what Billy heard before.
Yep.
And Dr. Cleveland lectures him, and he says, you have to learn to follow society's rules of privacy. Some people make the rules. Some people follow the rules. It's a question of what you're born to.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah. And that's how
Such
these
an
people think.
Yeah, and such an interesting kind of prescient moment too, relating to like our relationship with evidence and truth and technology. It's just like a total gaslighting move, but they're basically saying you didn't hear what you think you heard, and I guess they have the means to do it and change the tape, but it's interesting thinking about it in relation to what we're experiencing now, where you
The
can be
mass gaslighting.
you can be
Yeah.
watching the same thing as somebody else, and if their values or their politics are totally different from yours, they will see a different reality.
33 days, 33 episodes. Join me, Max Rushton, and our expert team of soccer journalists every day of the World Cup for analysis, drama, and everything in between. World Cup Daily. Listen on Spotify now or watch full episodes on YouTube.
Choice Hotels get you more of what you value. Comfort Inn, it's calling your name. Save on the stay. Oh, and free waffles are yours to claim. Book direct at choicehotels.com.
Yeah, No, and also, like, we are literally gaslit by politicians. We're like, that didn't happen. It's like,
Hmm.
we just saw it. We know it happened. So
Yeah.
it's, I mean, that's how this class of people acts and thinks. And,
Hmm.
um, I'm also thinking about, I mentioned at the top of the show, the Marquis de Sade.
Hmm.
And the really predominant interpretation, you can interpret Sade in many different ways, but one of the predominant interpretations is um, it is his brand of libertinism is about asserting your will on those beneath you. And that was then post World War II, like kind of analyzed through as like a fascist ideology, and which makes total sense. Um, and this is how we have come to associate this kind of perversity with the
Right.
fascist upper class. Um, I was just reading about Marquis de Sade last night, so I felt like that was important. Um,
I
so
I wonder
yeah.
I wonder if now is an appropriate tie-in. Speaking of writers, because I've been wanting to bring up Bret Easton Ellis a little bit,
Oh yeah, no,
and
totally. You totally should. Yeah.
and based on what you just said, like I am thinking about um, American Psycho, and I'm thinking about like literary excesses and how they're often misunderstood or taken too literally, and all of that is very interesting. But also, I recently read his one of his newer books, The Shards. I don't know if you're familiar with this one.
Haven't read it yet.
Okay, it's super interesting in how it feels like a autobiography, but we know there's fictive elements in it. So there's this like Roman, a clef kind of vibe, but it's about another version of Brett growing up in the 80s, going to an academy, a private school in Beverly Hills, and for reasons that I won't spoil, feels increasingly alienated from his peers, despite the relative, uh, let's say, parallel between him and them in terms of class and resources and privilege and all this. And I started to see Society, the film, and that character going through a very similar thing. And after seeing the documentary, um, it feels so clear that this would have been something that the writer was feeling as well all along. And it's just interesting to me, these stories that feature someone that's so inside something and can feel so out of it. And like,
Mm.
how does that happen? Like, how do you come out different enough that the same things you're experiencing just don't hit? Like all of this society stuff just doesn't hit for Billy. He doesn't want it.
Well,
Right.
I just read the Bret Easton Ellis novel Less Than Zero,
Hmm.
and very similar.
Yeah.
The main character in that feels very alienated from the other people around him. There's one part where um, he sees his friends raping and torturing a 12-year-old girl, and he doesn't intervene, but he's
Right.
horrified. Um, and again, the abuse of children um, in this way
Yeah.
is sort of likened to the excesses of the upper class.
Right.
Um, and I mean, we know like that's not true. It happens at every level.
Right.
But it's, yeah, I mean, I'm very, I mean, the characters in this, like, I mean, they're teenagers, right? They're not children, but they're, young people. And it's kind of, there's something there, I guess, about the there's this save the children mentality in the satanic panic moment that we're in right
Hmm.
now. And um there is something about how we kind of lose sight of the actual victims and they become symbolic of something else.
Mm-hmm.
And that, and then like all of the children that are being abused in less sensational ways are just like, it's not as interesting to people.
Right. Right.
Like people love like the titillation and the salacious nature of it,
Mm-hmm.
which is like very
And
perverse in its own way, and it's ironic that people
yeah.
don't see that. But um,
And like
so
so many other things could lead to a like we were talking about sort of self-policing earlier. Like it makes me think of how someone might um, change the affect of their experience by thinking like, well, I must have not really been abused, given what I see it being, or what I see it looking like in the media now. Like if it's not this extreme level, then maybe
right,
I wasn't.
and it's
Then
usually
maybe I was
not.
right, and you're questioning.
Yeah, yeah, it's usually much more mundane.
Right.
Um, this is what we're seeing now is like an extreme example. And I would propose honestly that to the people while they were experiencing it, the victims, it was probably so normalized for them they didn't even think of it as extreme
Yeah. Yeah.
until much later. So Billy calls Blanchard and he says he needs another copy of the tape, and when he goes to meet him,
I got to
Blanchard
get another
appears
fix.
right. He appears that he's been in a fatal car accident.
Right.
Um, so Billy goes home and he's like trying to tell his family about Blanchard and how he's dead, and they do totally divert attention. And they're like, okay, but
Careless.
what about this invitation to Ted Ferguson's party you got?
Yeah. Ted Ferguson,
um,
Reed, Paul Allen. Yeah.
Ted Ferguson, literally Paul Allen with that invitation.
Yeah.
And he goes home. Oh no, excuse me. They family's like, yeah, we know about the accident. It's really sad. Anyway, so he goes to Ted Ferguson's party, and he is approached by Clarissa, who has this very strange, seductive quality. And the two dance, and Clarissa asks about Shauna, and Billy is like, oh, we like kind of broke up. And Milo shows up and confronts Bill about Blanchard, and also says something very shady to Clarissa, where he's like, at least I don't turn tricks to get my kicks. Kind of implying that she's like a teen prostitute or something.
Okay.
So, and then Bill is like, that was really uncalled for. And he follows Clarissa into this tent where Ted is like smoking and holding court. And Billy confronts Ted about Blanchard and the coming out party. And he's like, what are you doing to my sister? And Ted says, first we dine, then I fucked your sister. Then everyone got so turned on, they fucked her too.
And he's not kidding.
He's not kidding. And but if you don't know if you don't know what's happening in the film yet, you might think he's just being a dick. And he also refers to Blanchard as Bagel Breath Blanchard. And
amazing.
yeah, so Blanchard is,
but also weirdly like anti-Semitic coded, right? Like
it's 100% anti-Semitic. Yeah,
crazy.
Yeah, it's not even code. It just is. Like,
okay, I forgot that he was. Yeah, he's a Jewish character. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is when you learn, right? And he's
right.
We see that. Oh, okay. So Billy is outside the group for some reason that is obscure to us at this point, but Blanchard is outside the group because he's Jewish. So this, I felt like was super important to talk about. One, because of the history of whiteness and Jewishness and how up until quite recently in history when this movie was made, Jews were not allowed in these like country club spaces. And it's only when they became recognized by law as white that these spaces started to integrate them. So that is...
especially it's interesting in terms of the history of Los Angeles and Hollywood, because I've done some research on this in the the decades of like the 20s and the 30s. And I mean, all of Hollywood is pretty much started by Jewish, either expats or
Hmm.
folks from the East Coast. And they're the wealthiest people in California. And these folks
Hmm.
are still excluded from
Yep.
the Whistler Country Club or the Riviera Country Club, whatever. It's wild. It's bizarre.
Yeah. No, I mean, so when this is like where I get on my little high horse,
Sure, get
like,
on.
people are always like the Jews control the media, right? They control Hollywood. The Jews do control Hollywood, but not for the reasons people think. It's not an evil cabal, like organized cabal, trying to brainwash people into having interracial sex, like the Nazis
Right.
say. I mean, it sounds awesome, but whatever.
Right.
And uh, it's because, like, historically, um, the theater was considered like a low art form, right? It was considered like low and dirty. So the people that could participate in those arenas were Jews and queer people.
Right.
So Jews became, like the Yiddish theater is a huge thing in American history. Like Jews fucking invented musical theater. Like that's Jews and gay people. So when film started to make its way over here, um, Jewish people were like, "Oh, we got to get on that." So they uh, went to Hollywood and created what is modern day Hollywood.
No one
There's
else
a book about this
was
called
trying to do that either. It was
No,
all
yeah,
them. They like you're saying, like they were working with what they knew and had lived in and experienced, and
right.
there was no rush to create Hollywood. They just
No,
had a great idea.
no, I mean, that's like the kind of a lot of the history of like anti-Semitism is like resentment that Jews are like on the thing before everybody else. Uh, and
Yeah.
there's a book
Nobody else
about this
wanted to
called
do it.
Right. There's a book about this called An Empire of Their Own, if anybody is
Oh yeah,
interested.
great
Um,
book.
and uh, yeah, I mean, it's the same thing with money lending.
Mhm.
Because of, for those who do not know, um, there is an episode in the New Testament in the Bible where Christ goes to the temple and he sees that it's become overrun with moneylenders and prostitutes, and he flips over a money lending table and says, like, "You've made my father's house a den of thieves." And because of this episode, money is considered very dirty in Christian history. So a lot of the jobs that Jews were able to have were having to do with money, like, because it was considered low and dirty, but somebody had to do it.
I mean,
So
exactly, and it's just like
right,
how we look down on people who work agriculture and how we treat them in this country. And it's like, guess what? You don't want to be out there doing that, and you want to put everyone away who gets you your food. Like, what's the end goal here? There's going to be no
right.
one. There's going to be no one cultivating that stuff and getting your farm to your table, and you're absolutely not going to do it. So, what is the plan? It doesn't make any
Right.
sense.
No, totally. Yeah. So like Jewish people were like allowed to have those jobs and
Mhm.
they excelled in it.
Yeah.
And that is why Jews become associated with greed and money. Um and I also have to mention in the current cultural moment that we're in, with Israel's war crimes like sort of fueling a lot of derision, um, all of that sort of anti-Semitic fervor is coming back. And, you know, like, y'all, the existence of, like, part of the existence of Israel thrives on the existence of anti-Semitism and, like, Jewish people being afraid. So it feeds into itself, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and there's so much to say about this, and I'm not the smartest person on this topic. I am just a Jewish person who knows a little bit. And um there is an element with the Jeffrey Epstein shit of blood libel. Like
Yeah.
literal millennia old blood libel. Um
Yeah.
and I just want people to be a little bit careful when they perpetuate this idea of like blood sacrifice, satanic sacrifice, like eating babies. Like this is medieval era anti-Semitism.
Yeah.
And that's always be
It's
skeptical
wild
of stuff
that
like that.
it's wild that it isn't horrible enough for people.
Well,
You
yeah,
know,
exactly. It's already bad. It doesn't need to be
screwing
like
around
it.
with like underage
Yeah.
folks. Like that's horrible enough. You had to add like cannibalism and Satanism. Like leave Satan out of this. Like he's definitely not participating in any Jeffrey
Leave
Epstein
him
shit. But
alone.
yeah, it's such a bummer that all of these things get take the rap for very boring milquetoast wealthy folks with bad taste. Like they wouldn't be caught dead with pentagrams and
No, and
like
it's the other thing, and the
those jokes.
satanic
It's
stuff
just
too
not
is
them.
also low-key homophobic, right? Because Baphomet
Yeah,
is like a gender
yeah,
queer icon.
totally,
So
totally.
there's also this like anti-queer element to it, not just anti-Semitic. There's a lot of fucked up things going on
Hmm.
with this.
Anti-pizza.
Yeah, and leave pizza alone.
Crazy. Crazy.
Yeah, no, and I think that you know, the presence of the Jewish character, this is why I like went on this little rant,
Mm,
is really interesting because now
yeah.
there is this idea in leftist spaces that has kind of always been there, but is like really being highlighted right now of like, oh, the Jewish elites. Like it's actually
Mhm,
that used to be like a more taboo thing to say out loud
mhm.
in leftist spaces, and it's like not now, because
Interesting. Yeah.
of Jeffrey Epstein and Harvey
Yeah.
Weinstein, like it's um Larry David had a joke about this on SNL where he was like, a lot of these guys happen to be Jewish. Like,
Just
and
saying. Just yeah. Right.
but that it's like a very clever joke because that's what people are going to say. Like we know that
Right.
already as Jews. Like
Right.
when the Jeffrey Epstein stuff broke, Jewish people were like, here we go. Like it's going to be said. It's going to be
Well,
incorporated into it.
it's interesting to have the film reflect back to us that in the late 80s, that sentiment was prevalent enough to still make its way into the plot of a movie like this
Mhm.
in like 88 or 89 or whatever, um, which seems so far removed from the time period of the 20s and 30s where they were actively being excluded from some of these places. So interesting, that holdover in time. And I wonder what you think about like if this film were made again now, not even by the same writer, because we kind of know what he would do, but if it was made now, do you think there would be more Jewish representation in the upper society
Mm.
gang?
Oh,
And would
if
that
Woody
character?
Keith, if Zeph was writing it, I bet. Like
Yeah, yeah,
because that's a really like kind of even that's kind of a core tenet of a lot of these conspiracy theorists, which I think is why a lot of leftists get like caught up in it because leftists are so anti-Zionist at this moment, which you know I'm an anti-Zionist, like I support that. But there's also, of course, the rise of anti-Semitism.
right.
And I think that's why a lot of leftists almost get caught up where they're like, Alex Jones, might even have a point because it's reinforcing their idea of, because a lot of these these conspiracy nut jobs are also theoretically anti-Zionist, but it's not for the same reasons you and I are. Like there's other stuff going on there. But I think there would 100% be like evil Jews in the society
Yeah,
cult.
and that character, the Blanchard, would be written as something else. He probably wouldn't be a Jew in 2026. He would be
No, yeah.
he or she or they would be something different, which is I don't
Yeah.
know, an interesting and a thought experiment to consider. The other thing that I'm uh, hitting on now is how AI and these videos and memes that I see, and you probably do too, all the time online, where they're kind of bending over to leftist fantasies and you see like Donald Trump in a very homoerotic relationship with Putin, and you
No,
see, or
literally, it's homophobic, guys.
with
Like,
Musk. Yeah,
yes.
and just thinking of how the AI models like put them in these situations of identity transfer and like proximity with each other. It reminds me of like a modern shunting. Like we have the ability now at our fingertips to create our own versions of that final shunting scene. And I think in our heads that's happening all the time. Like all of these timelines and conspiracy theories and political angles are meshing into one giant butthead.
Yeah, no, total. I mean, the AI connection is also, yeah, I was literally just thinking this because somebody, like, there was some statue of like Trump, and I don't even know if it's fucking AI, but like there
I
was like
saw it.
some,
Yeah,
yeah, the Trump and Elon like love
right.
scene Titanic thing or whatever. And I'm like, so we're using homophobia? Like, it's so, again, reinforces this idea that these are things for the elite. Like, this is, like, gayness is for the elite. Like, it's just not, it's misguided.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that the presence of Blanchard is so interesting because it also it shows how, like, no matter, I mean, no matter how um Jews have tried to integrate into whiteness, like, for people like this, to
Yeah.
whom they think of people as different races, that's never going to be the case. And but there is, at this current cultural moment, some more dark shit going on there with how, pro-Israel the US elites are at this moment.
The
It's
tagline for this
it's some
movie,
dark shit.
the tagline for this movie, if it was made in 2026, could be "They Not Like Us." And it's crazy to see how
Yeah, no,
lines
it's
are drawn these days, because friend and foe seem to be so ambiguous and so like divorced from our previous like associations. It's You can't imagine like who's going to cozy up with who. And again, that goes back to something that on the surface uh, feels interesting and like provocative and
mm,
exploratory, but the way things are happening, the way it's being used, it's taking the power of fluidity away from the folks who need to use it the most.
totally.
It's make
Yeah, and yeah, I mean, I'm not above any of this shit. Like, I feel like the reason that I can talk about it is because these are things that I experience too. I find myself having an opinion, and then I see that somebody I know is bad news has that same opinion, and I'm like, I have to interrogate that, because why do I have the same opinion as this person? And
right, right.
I think we can all fall into that trap. It's not, definitely not above it, definitely not trying to preach that I'm a perfect person. Like, that
Yeah,
happens to me all the time.
yeah, agree.
Um, so
So you
Billy is
go
like
back.
thrown into the pool,
Yeah,
back to the party, and
yeah,
Clarissa brings him back to her place to dry off and starts seducing him, and she's very aggressive. Again, gender reversal. And
mm,
the two of them have sex, and it seems great. But then Billy starts to see Clarissa like shapeshifting, and he doesn't know if it's in his head or not. And he's like, "You were in a weird position." And she's like, "You're so sweet. I wonder when you exactly lost your virginity." And Shauna, ex-girlfriend, and her friend are outside spying. Um, Back in the house, Clarissa says the iconic line where she's like, "How do you like your tea? Cream, sugar, or do you want me to pee in it?" This icon. Like,
great.
I love, like, what a budding little femdom she is.
Mhm.
Clarissa's mom walks in, and she's holding a fistful of blonde hair, and then she pukes up some hair. I guess the way that I sort of read the hair thing is like because this woman is mentally disabled and coded that way. And you know, spoiler, Clarissa is also an upper class shapeshifter. Maybe her like cannibalism is like fucked up because of her disability, so she eats hair instead of people. That was my
Yeah,
thought.
that's interesting. I have to be honest, I wasn't sure about Clarissa and her mom. I started thinking along the lines of, could somebody be turned? Could
Mm.
it, it reminds me of a Jaws line. If you weren't born on the island, you can never be an islander. And so I wondered if these islanders, these rich shunters, were able to bring in folks from the outside. Because I got the distinct vibe, at least the way it was written, and this just may have been a slight oversight on their part, the writers, but it felt like she was struggling with the identity of the shunters from the very beginning. And so I took it almost like maybe the mom was a casualty of this transitional act, whatever that might have been. And that's why Clarissa's wrestling
Interesting.
with it. I don't know.
Looking for a protein shake that tastes as good as it performs? Meet Rockin' Protein Max. Packed with 50 grams of fuel, it'll help you keep up when your day won't slow down. And because it's always creamy and never chalky, every sip tastes great. Even better, it's lactose-free and has 0 added sugar. It's not every day you find a protein shake you actually want to finish. Catch Rockin' Protein in the dairy cooler at a store near you. Rockin' Protein and Shamrock Farms are registered trademarks of Shamrock Foods Company.
Need a laptop that's built to perform and designed to last all day? Select Windows 11 PCs starting at $499.99 are now at Best Buy. Learn more at bestbuy.com. Best Buy. Imagine that.
And I was thinking of Clarissa more in terms of that like Common People song where like she just doesn't feel like she fits in with the upper
Yeah.
class. She wants to be with the common people, and
Yeah.
she's not
She's on the
she,
other side of Billy. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
But the mom is such a strange character. I almost like don't even know if they thought about it that much except to like put in a fat joke.
Yeah.
She's just such an anomaly. It's so weird. So the next day, Billy finds a blow-up doll in his car with a shirt on it that says Clarissa. Shauna confronts him about Clarissa, and like they finalize their breakup. Billy walks in on his sister and her parents in the parents' bedroom, and she's getting a massage from her father while her mother lounges in a robe. And
Definitely walked
they
into rooms
tell
like that in my life.
yeah. And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean the incest shit is popping off, and they like barely try to hide it from him, and they tell him he's paranoid, and they're like, you know, you'll make such a great contribution to society. Billy implies that he knows he's adopted, and he tells his father to fuck off. He calls him a butthead, and he says he's moving
Spoiler
out.
alert. Yeah.
So Blanchard's funeral, this is supposed to be a Jewish funeral because there's Star of David, but we don't do wakes, so they didn't do their research. But but he's so Milo. So he's in the coffin exposed, and Milo says Blanchard doesn't look like himself, and he pokes the corpse's cheek, and it cracks like wax. Very reminiscent of House of Wax.
Terrifying to me.
And they're like, I guess they had to do a lot of reconstruction on his face. So Martin Petrie approaches Bill, and he says he needs to talk to him and tells him to meet him at Franklin Canyon that night. Billy goes to find him that night, but instead he finds him dead in his car with his slit throat. And he hears a man laughing, and he chases the sound into the woods. This part I didn't quite understand. He finds like a shirt on a tree. and this shadowy figure pushes him and steals the shirt. Does the shirt come into play again? I don't know what that was.
Mhm.
Just a distraction.
I
So
feel like this is just part of the elaborate. They're laying out like a cat and mouse game for him in a similar way to something like The Wicker Man. He doesn't realize it, but he's just
right. It is so
let
Wicker Man.
hopefully
Yeah.
separate way.
It's like toying with him as part of it. It's like making
Yeah,
it more fun for them.
yeah.
Um, Billy finds himself at Clarissa's house. And she's got this great like Art Deco facade going on in her house. And he tells Clarissa that he just saw Petrie with his neck cut, and she pretty much is unfazed. He takes the police and Clarissa to Martin Petrie's car, but it's a different car and there's no body. And they taunt Billy, and we feel like maybe they're colluding with society. At another debate, Billy confronts his sister, but to no avail. And he gets on stage and rants about Blanchard and Martin Petrie, but no one believes him. And then Martin shows up like nothing's happened and says, I had car trouble. So everybody thinks Bill is crazy.
Yeah.
Milo confronts Bill outside the school, and he said he's the one who's been putting weird dolls in his locker and car, but that he followed Bill to Franklin Canyon, and confirms for him that he's not crazy and that something is indeed very weird. I don't really understand Milo's reasoning for taunting Bill with the dolls, because he wasn't paying enough attention to him.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
That seemed strange to me, and I thought the dolls were going to be like more heavily symbolic, but I couldn't think of anything
They
really
all want Billy to make a contribution,
to society.
or
Yes.
to Milo's pants. Yeah.
So Bill goes home, followed by Milo, and he sees his parents and sister there with his therapist and the judge. And Bill is seized by two men in EMT uniforms and sedated and put in the back of a medical van. And Milo follows him to the hospital and tries to see him, but the receptionist says he's not there. And then he tells Milo, oh, no, he's in the morgue. So trying to convince him that he's dead. But Milo is a real one and doesn't believe her. And he goes out to the parking lot and he sees Bill's Jeep. Bill is sedated in the hospital. He's having nightmares. He awakens with a start, thinking that he hears Blanchard in the bed next to him, but no one's there. Bill leaves the hospital and he's like kind of crazed. And he meets Milo in the parking lot and he's like really strange. He's like, we won. And Milo's like, dude, it's a setup. They brought your car here. Like they are setting you, whatever is going on, you're being set up. And Bill goes to Clarissa's, and Clarissa is like, things aren't the way they seem. Don't go home. But Bill doesn't listen. Bill goes home, and everything is strange, like in his dream. Like the lights won't turn on. His mom and dad come home, but they're not alone. And oh, look, the police are there too. And this is when everything starts to unravel. They capture Billy with this like dog catcher leash, and all of society, quote unquote, is there. Dr. Cleveland.
Surprise party.
Surprise party. Very Wicker Man. Everybody is like, this was wonderful. And they introduce Judge Carter and everybody's clapping. Like this is great achievement. And Judge Carter says, I love the smell of the hunt and the taste of the shunt. Now, my note here is you and me both, buddy. And this is so scary because they all reveal to Bill that his entire life has been a lie, and a game.
That's one of the scariest parts to me, like the long game of these people. They worked on him for 18 years. Jeez.
It's like cattle. Like they like grass fed him, so it would be like tastier. And they reveal that he's a different species. You have to be born into society, and he's like alien scum. And they're like, we're not from outer space. We've been here as long as you have.
There's even a comment from one of them referring to Blanchard and Billy as slaves. There's something
Yes.
about like a slave revolt. Those are just crazy.
Yes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Milo and Weird Mom arrive, which will become important. Clarissa
Our
arrives
heroes, yeah.
and yeah, our heroes. Yeah, Clarissa arrives and she's greeted by Ted. She's one of them, but she's not happy with what's going on. The judge offers Ted an internship in Washington, to which we're like, they're in the government. Of course they are. Milo sees the EMTs from the hospital leading a nude hospital-robed man into the house. Back in the house, Bill watches his mom and the judge like grope Jenny while she smiles. And this figure that was led into the house is revealed to be Blanchard, who is not actually dead. The judge describes how they have 2 specimens tonight, and one is especially fine, nurtured by Jim and Nan Whitney in their own home, so that he literally was raised to be food.
Yeah.
Scary.
Right, like a fine wine. Yeah.
Yeah. And this is when the, very iconic ending of the film unfolds. We've got these amazing Screaming Mad George effects. Fucking love Screaming Mad George. Everyone
Incredible.
starts to melt and shapeshift as they start to feed on Blanchard, and it's grotesque and sexual.
Can I just say, I didn't realize this until I watched the documentary, but Screamin' George reveals that his inspiration for those makeup effects, especially the wide shots, were Dali paintings. And now I can't unsee it.
Yes, the masturbator was the particular one. Yeah.
Yes. I love that. For me, I mean, there's so much going on in that scene that's iconic and revolting and fascinating. We last night watching it, we couldn't get over the sounds that the judge was making with his lips, and the fact that he's holding a cigar the entire time just gave him this weird like Winston Churchill vibe, and he was diving in there like he was conquering Europe. His fist was the fist of war, and he was ready for battle, and he dove in there with gusto, and that is something I will not soon forget. The best part for me is the beauty mark, the transfer of the beauty mark.
When he eats Blanchard's beauty mark, yeah,
and it becomes,
and then it transfers to his face. Yeah,
so good. So that's something even more than cannibalism. That's like a complete like sublimation of the other. Like you've integrated them completely. Very scary.
Yes, it's so grotesque, and Blanchard gets fisted to death. So again, homosexual relations, the realm of the corrupt elite. And a lot of fisting stuff in this ending here. And he fists him and his hand comes out of Blanchard's mouth. Like it's a violent fisting, and that's how he kills him. And it's just everything starts to become very surreal and disgusting. Clarissa frees Billy and tells him to run, and Dr. Cleveland follows Billy upstairs, and his head turns into a fist. And Billy finds his mom.
Weirdly.
Yeah, it's like
like
that.
Yeah.
And Billy goes into his parents' room, and he finds his mom and dad and Jenny have joined into like a monstrous deformed being. And Jenny's head comes out of her mom's crotch.
They're like a freaky Power Ranger.
Yes. And there's the butthead dad joke payoff, because the dad is like coming out of his face is like coming out of his own ass. It's so grotesque. It's very
feet.
abject. Yeah. the feet. Yeah. It's very, like you said, like everything is collapsed, sublimated, like the limits of the body are collapsed in this very grotesque an upsetting way.
Mm-hmm.
And there's
It could.
just this. Yeah, go ahead.
It's like there could be freedom in that. Like I could see a version of that behavior that feels different. But in this
Yes.
context, it's so tied into the economics and the power of it that I can't really get on board. But I've always appreciated like the looking to nature to appreciate its revolutionary forms. Like nature is the queerest, most fluid, most open, most pansexual thing we have on this world to look at. And so it's I've always enjoyed like productive emulations of those styles of living. But the way these folks are doing it, it's not a club you would want to belong to unless you're power
No,
hungry.
yeah, but I think that's such a good point. Like the way that no, actually this stuff is found in nature and it's very queer. And but people still, even if they're progressives, still have such sort of regressive views about fluid sexuality that it's becomes a stand-in for excess.
Yeah.
And whereas like, you know, I would, if I were to make a movie with a pansexual orgy, it would be like, something like Short Bus, where it's like, liberatory.
And like ecstatic and exciting.
Yes,
Yeah.
right. But
Yeah.
in this, it's like, sinister and
Mm-hmm.
consuming.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it's also, this scene is also very funny. Like, so Milo has attacked a cop outside and has put on his uniform, and he walks into this horrible shapeshifter orgy dressed as a cop.
Like the best
And
bachelor party gift.
yeah.
Him and the
And
mom.
Billy, him and the mom. Billy fights Ted for Clarissa, and the judge emerges from the orgy back into his human form, cigar still in his mouth, and he now has Blanchard's beauty mark. And he like presides over this fight where Ted and Bill are beating the shit out of each other. And Ted says, "You see this arm, Bill? You're going to get very familiar with it. Like, he's going to fist him." And Clarissa and Mom intervene, but Ted triumphs and punches the shit out of Bill's face. And Ted sucks on Bill's mouth in this like very homoerotic way. And then Bill takes Ted's arm and twists it and fists Ted with his own fist. And like Blanchard, it comes out of his mouth and Ted is dead.
Adobe Firefly is the all-in-one creative studio with AI-powered image and video editing for today's creative process. Built for creators of every kind, Firefly helps you generate, edit, and experiment fast. Because the asks aren't getting smaller, the budgets aren't getting bigger, and the timelines, still tight. With all the best creative AI models in one place, Firefly brings your ideas to life. Unlock a better way to make with Adobe Firefly.
Honey, what are you listening to?
Mom! Your teen might not share everything with you, but teens share everything with each other. And certain everyday behaviors, like sharing food, drinks, or kisses, could mean sharing bacteria that can cause meningococcal disease known as meningitis. Although meningitis is uncommon, about 1 in 10 who develop it will die. Ask your teen's doctor about missing meningitis vaccinations. Learn more at meningitis.com. Vaccination may not protect all recipients. Sponsored by GSK.
Well, it comes out and then he pulls it all the way back through, turning Ted inside out.
Yes. So much fisting.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, if we get into like, really analyzing the queer aspects of that, it's like this really horrifying and disgusting act to straight people. So
Yeah.
it's kind of you know positioned in this film as like this really
Right.
horrible thing.
It plays into that the same way I think it does in Cruising, which is
I was
another
just
movie
gonna
I
say in
loved.
Cruising where the guy is getting
So
fisted.
yeah,
Yeah.
these have to be two of the best, if not only, great fisting scenes in like mainstream, uh, films, American films. Yeah.
And they're
Wow.
so afraid of fisting. They're like
They
they're
are.
the two great fisting scenes, but they're so afraid of it.
Yes.
And it's
Yes.
so abject. I mean, straight people are so scared of fisting, uh and it's a very common sex act among like gay men and gay women. And it's almost like it's excessive to the heterosexual imagination. Like it's, because we think of penetration as for procreation. And the fist is just, it's excessive. Like it's, it is filling you completely, and experiencing the the fullness of someone on your fist. Like um it is just seen as very excessive and scary to the heterosexual imagination.
Yeah. My
Um,
take is that Billy couldn't imagine doing anything worse to Ted, and, uh, in relation to that, Ted, probably couldn't have imagined a better way to go.
yeah, I hope he enjoyed it.
I mean, he had
I'll
to.
I would love to get fisted to death personally. So I
Turned out, yeah,
that,
it's literal turned out, yeah.
yeah. Yeah, totally. Yeah, but there, that's so I never thought about that before this rewatch, where I was like, "Oh wow, there's like so much fisting in that." Like it's
Mhm,
just, yeah, they're very, the fear of the fist, the
mhm,
fear of penetration that is not for procreation, that is in fact excessive and meant to stretch the limits of the body. Um,
yeah,
it fits with these bodies being collapsed and stretched in this way. Um,
yeah.
so
Yeah,
Bill
it ends
punches his
in
dad in the
almost like
face. Oh, go ahead.
yeah, I was just gonna say it almost ends up being like an indictment of any sexual act that is not, um, the standard penetrative act, because we really don't see any suggestions of that in this scene. It's penetration of a very different kind in from very different orifices and angles, but
New
it's nothing
holes,
like
and yeah,
it's nothing like what Billy would consider, um, typical sex, which is interesting. Yeah, in the words of Cronenberg, "Long live the new flesh." This is like, long live the new holes. So, like, we make holes where we want them. Sh- Not a bad way to go.
very queer. Yeah, not
Yeah, totally.
yeah. That's, I know, to us, we're like, yeah, that sounds awesome, but it's like a positioned as this very like, scary, it's like excessive thing. Um,
Right. The shunt is
Bill
wasted on the rich for sure.
The shunt is wasted on the rich. um, Bill punches his dad in the face, and he leaves with Milo and Clarissa kind of they don't try to stop him. And because he won the fight. And I guess these shape-shifting monsters have some sort of code where they're like, well, he did win. And
Right.
it is now daylight, and no one will believe him anyway. And it is now
Right.
daylight. And they escape. And we've got that ending line about the judge offering someone else an internship in Washington. So
Mhm.
the society will continue on.
Yes. The circle continues. Yep.
Well,
It's a wild ride.
it's It's like one of the all-time most insane horror films. And I love the way we talked about it and how we, can admit that this is like a thing that we love, but that it feels different for us right now. And maybe in another few years, it'll feel different again. But
Yeah.
that's the beauty of art, right? It's a living, breathing thing. That's why we talk about it in the present, because it's present. Yeah. Ian, thank you so much.
Thank you. This was
Where
great. It was super
can the
fun.
people find you? Yeah, super fun. Where can the
Mostly,
people find you on social media?
mostly I'm on Instagram at Ian Deleón Arts, and yeah, follow for all the projects that I have going on right now. Thank you.
What are you on Letterboxd?
The same. The same
Okay.
everywhere.
Okay.
Yeah,
And you know where to find me.
Letterboxd.
Yeah, Letterboxd. That's what I'm plugging these days. You know where to find me. Girls Gets Jolly on Instagram, Girls Gets Jolly on Letterboxd, and patreon.com/Girls Gets Jello. I've got a bunch of stuff coming out on Patreon. I have a review of Wuthering Heights. I have a review of Chronology of Water. I'm gonna do an episode about why I hated the bride. So check that out if you want more content. Thank you so much, Ian. This was a delight.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Hey there, it's Wayfair here, where delivery and setup are as easy as a few taps on your phone. You're relaxing in an old hammock, scrolling Wayfair's app, when you spot it, a brand new patio set. Next thing you know, Wayfair delivers it right to your patio and sets it up. Oh, you need a new grill too? All right, Wayfair's got you covered. With Wayfair's Room of Choice delivery and fast expert setup on qualifying orders, life gets a little easier. Visit wayfair.com or the Wayfair app.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Hey, thank you, Annie.